Do you remember how in Scooby-Doo, when there'd be a haunted house, if there was a portrait on the walls, there would always be a bad guy standing behind the portrait looking through the eyes of the painting? I'm not saying that is going on in the White House, but something spooky appears to be going on with the wall hangings just outside the Oval Office. And I'm not kidding. Plus, Kent Jones will be here as well with video of Vladimir Putin at a hip-hop show in a turtleneck. But first, a few holy mackerel stories in today's news. It is a long-standing Washington tradition to bury news by releasing it late on a Friday, so that at most it ends up in the largely unread Saturday newspapers. Friday news dump, meet the Monday evening undump. Late in the day on Friday, Defense Secretary Robert Gates filed a notice with the Supreme Court, effectively blocking the release of more than 40 photographs that purportedly document abuse of prisoners by U.S. personnel. So much for transparency. You may recall that the ACLU had sued the Pentagon for some of these pictures. A lower court ruled in the ACLU's favor, and President Obama had said that he supported making them public, until he didn't.
It's therefore my belief that the publication of these photos would not add any additional benefit to our understanding of what was carried out in the past by a small number of individuals. In fact, the most direct consequence of releasing them, I believe, would be to further inflame anti-American opinion and to put our troops in greater danger.
An amendment in this year's military appropriations bill gave Secretary Gates the power to exempt photographs from the Freedom of Information Act. Not all photographs in the whole world, just ones taken between September 11th, 2001 and January 22nd, 2009. Surely dates chosen particularly at random. Also, they have to be photos that are by members of the armed forces, and they have to be photos that are by members of the armed forces outside the United States. Yeah, those are all exempt. There's change you can believe in, and there's change you'd really like to be able to believe in, but which you can really easily obstruct by amendments to military spending bills. Next up, the outcome of the New York congressional race between a Democrat, a Republican, and a Conservative Party candidate was arguably determined by a very passionate group of conservative activists and celebrities. I'm talking to you, Fred Thompson. The Republican candidate Didi Scozafava was forced out of the race before Election Day, leaving the conservative candidate Doug Hoffman free to lose, which he did. Mr. Hoffman conceded on election night, and Democratic Congressman Bill Owens was sworn in. Now, thanks to post-election night clarifications, Owens' lead has narrowed to around 3,000 votes. And the New York Board of Elections is still counting approximately 10,000 absentee ballots. A Hoffman win is still really unlikely at this point, but that is not stopping Glenn Beck, whom Mr. Hoffman once described as his mentor, from prodding the conservative candidate to get back into the race.
Are you officially unconceding at this moment?
Yes. If I knew this information at the election night, I would not have conceded.
So are you unconceding? Are you unconceding?
Well, if that's possible, yes.
I think so. Mr. Hoffman's unconcession battle is certainly an uphill one, but parts of this congressional district have not been represented by a Democrat since roughly the Civil War until this year, so anything is possible? Not really. But still, it's very exciting. Finally, what began as a small-scale radio ad buy has turned into an all-out TV advertising war. It's the American Energy Alliance, a nonprofit organization that's not legally required to reveal its donors, but it's known to be funded by oil and gas companies. It's them versus South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. The latest act of political war is a television ad on which the American Energy Alliance has dropped nearly $70,000 on top of $300,000 it's already spent attacking Senator Graham.
Energy is the lifeblood of our economy. From home to work to play, energy fuels us. So why would Senator Lindsey Graham support a new national energy tax called Cap and Trade, which could significantly increase electricity bills, gas prices, and cost American jobs? Call Senator Graham. Tell him you're turned off by his support for Cap and Trade.
The industry-funded group has its drill bits in a bunch over Senator Graham's support for cap-and-trade, by which companies could buy credits to offset their carbon emissions. And just last week, a South Carolina Republican group censured Senator Graham for sin of all sins, working with Democrats on this same issue, which all means that perhaps Grahamed will soon be a recognized political verb like skosafavad. To be skosafavad, of course, is to be run out of your local political race by national conservative celebrities who don't come from there. To be Grahamed is to be bullied by a nonprofit which may or may not be a huge corporate front because you didn't do exactly what that unnamed but suspected huge corporate interest group wanted you to do. It is easier to say Grahamed than it is to say skosafavad. It's easier, but it's less fun. Skosafava. Skosafava. Skosafava.